The topic of electronics with kids and teens has been coming up a lot in my office this week. So I thought I'd share some of the insights that I've been sharing with families that come into my private practice, that this video would be helpful to families out there who are also struggling with the same thing, especially now moving away from summer and into more of a structured school schedule. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the lengths of time that I recommend for different age ranges, all the way from toddlers to teenage, and I'm going to explain why I recommend them. I'm also going to talk about language to use with your kids and teens about electronics. That can be really helpful with reducing conflict. And then some of the psychological effects and positive things that can come out of setting boundaries with kids and teens around electronics. So I hope this video gives you lots of information of things you can implement. Okay, so where I'd like to begin is time frames. Something that parents have to be really honest with themselves about is what they use electronics for. And so I really encourage parents to think about, am I using the phone because it's an educational tool or because it's a babysitter? We got to start there. If we hand our kids the phone because then we don't have to deal with behavior issues, or we really have other stuff that we want to get done, that's not a good use of the phone or electronics or iPads or computers or even television. So that's a question that people have to be really honest with themselves about. What I recommend for children 2 and under, and this is actually pediatric doctors as well, and science shows that 2 and under should not be watching any electronics at all. So that includes your phone, videos, iPads, television. Things on the television move so fast and on electronics, it actually messes with the wiring of the brain for toddlers. So I would say about 2 and under, 2.5. Most pediatricians ask that kids don't watch TV or electronics till they're 3. So give them toys, lots of things to stimulate them. Again, not using these things as babysitters for yourself. That's super important in the developmental of your child's brain. So let's talk about 3 to 5 years old. What I recommend to parents is that it's an interactive thing, that you're actually sitting with them, and right, if it's a learning tool, that you're sitting with them and talking about what they're watching or what they're looking at. And I would say no more than 20 minutes for 3 to 5, 15, 20 minutes is max. It's usually about the attention span. Boys, maybe a little bit less, depending on the maturity level of your child. 5 and 10 years old, I would say no more than half an hour at a time. Half an hour at a time is plenty for kids to be on their electronics and on their phone. And then between 10 and older, I would say no more than 45 minutes to an hour of spending time on electronics. What you'll find when kids spend longer than these lengths is their physiology, right? Their body energy, you can even sometimes hear it in their voice. They become more aggressive, they're more anxious, their attention span is decreased if you spend lots of time on them. So really important that these numbers stay around the time that I recommend. When I hear families tell me that their kids are on it, or teens, for 2 to 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours a day on weekends, I'm baffled. That is such a long time. And I think it really contributes to a lot of behavior problems, focus problems, and anxiousness in kids and teens. So language is really important when using these things as privilege, right? So I oftentimes remind parents, and I see a light bulb go on, oh yeah, I forgot about that electronic use is actually a privilege. It's not a right? It's not a right for your child to have a phone. It's a privilege. It's a privilege for them to use electronics or iPad and watch TV. That these things should not be done until all else is finished. They're all caught up in school. The expectations and the chores in the house are complete. You might use them for short breaks, especially during the school year now that we're all kind of studying at home, but very little, like 10, 15-minute breaks. So that's what I recommend, that we remind kids that it's a privilege. It is your phone and you're letting them borrow it. Another really important thing with language is I tell families and parents, don't say you're taking the phone away. Tell them they haven't earned it. You didn't earn the phone today because you're super behind in school or had asked you to put these things away in your room, or whatever it is that they hadn't finished. That's a really great leverage for parents. I oftentimes tell parents, you don't have to repeat yourself over and over again. You don't have to get frustrated and mad and yell. It's a very clear expectations. And if they really want that electronic, they will get it done. And give them some time, right? Changing behaviors and habits takes time. So I highly recommend that. I think parents get nervous that their kids are bored, and we have to move away from that. It's actually really great for your children to be bored. It gives them a chance to reflect, to process their day, to be reflective. That's actually where our best creativity comes from, is in times where there's boredom. There's a saying that I love: you cannot see your reflection in running water. You can only see your reflection in still water. And we're so busy throughout the day, and there's so much coming at us that we don't have that downtime. I get a lot of teens and kids that have a hard time sleeping at night because it's the only time when they put their head down to go to sleep, it's the only time of the day that they actually sat and processed their day. So boredom is actually really good. I think those things will help get you to a good start. If you have any questions, I definitely want you to send me a message and let me know. Every kid has a different personality and a different way of doing things, but for the most part, this is a really great foundation in moving forward with setting standards for electronics. Something else, before I forget, that I highly recommend is in the evenings that all electronics are turned in. I've talked about this in a previous video, but all electronics are turned in at least 1 hour, 45 minutes at the least before bed, that they're locked in a drawer or in your closet somewhere where they can't. So I've heard stories of kids roaming the house at 12, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., playing on their phone, not waking up on time, not waking up rested. I've heard stories from parents where kids tried to sneak in their room behind the side of the bed to see if they can get their hands on the electronics. So once you get through that, right, all those shenanigans, kids will give up eventually and they will actually sleep. And so I've been getting a lot of feedback from parents that their children wake up more rested, that they go to sleep on time, that they're more focused the next day. And when there's boredom in between, or there's, they got to find something to do because they don't have the electronic time, parents often tell me, oh, our kids are coming down and playing with us and having dinner and asking us to go on walks with them. I feel more connected to my child. So good things can actually come from this. Electronics steals the personality and the energy of our children, and it changes who they become as adults. So I wish you all the best. I think these are going to be really helpful tools, and I look forward to hearing from you at how it goes. Thank you so much.